Hey, what's going on? It's me, John D. Villarreal. We're getting ready here. We're about 45 seconds away from the start of the show. So just stand by here. It's going to be a great show. Show number 50, talking about a lot of stuff all over the world. It's going to be really, really interesting, really crazy. So just get ready for that. Stand by.
Welcome to the John Villarreal Show. Now, here's John.
Hey, everybody, what's going on? It's me, John D. Villarreal. And it's show number 50 here live on Newstalk, 10:40 a.m. over the greater Tampa Bay area. There's so much going on, so much stuff. It's pretty crazy. A lot happening all over the world. Also live on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, X. It's really crazy. There's so much going on now. I mean, and we told you this is going to be a very, very interesting situation. We told you that it was going to happen. It was going to come down this way. Let me just get my speakers here right. Hopefully we get everything down in there correctly. Let's see if that works there. I think that's the way we do it here. So let's see. Joined by Paul at Villarreal. Now, listen, there's so much happening. I don't even know where to start. We have to talk about, we're here in Florida, right? We have to talk about Disney World. We have to talk about Disney in general. We have to talk about the new, ride. No longer Splash Mountain. I think it's Tiana's Bayou. I got to double check that. There's some controversy there. Doesn't seem to be doing so well. Maybe not all the animatronics are working. And the Acolyte, oh my gosh, what a disaster that is. This Acolyte is really, really hurting. It's not doing great. From what we can see, what we can tell, there's different things out there. There's accusations of review bombing. There's a huge discrepancy between the critics' reviews and the audience reviews. I think the last I checked, the critics' reviews were well over 90% for it, fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, but the audience review was under 30%. So that just shows you what's going on right there. But really, and we have obviously the election season's going, is starting to get things going right here. There is, I think we're due for presidential debate here sometime next month, something like that. Like, I think the first one's pretty quick. President Biden was just over in Normandy for the celebration of D-Day. Him and Joe Biden, First Lady of Joe Biden, excused themselves. President Macron, sort of took over the ceremonies right there. But, and there was a great line, and Paul will kind of expand on this before. This isn't my line. We got to give the right credit for it. So we're citing someone here. But it was something to the special counsel Hur, right? I think Ben Hur or something like that. I don't know. We're gonna get that right. But special counsel Hur was, looking at the classified documents situation with President Biden versus President Trump. President Biden was not president, so it didn't fall under, that sort of exclusion, if you will, with the Presidential Records Act. I think at the time he was senator, maybe vice president, and I think he had more than Trump. And somehow it's okay, he just basically got, they're not moving forward on any action against President Biden for that. And one of the reasons being was by special counsel Hur, I think, was, well, maybe President Biden's not full. This is my super rough paraphrase, and I'm by no means a quote or anything like that, my own personal opinion, but maybe didn't have the full mental capacity or what. Paul will kind of clarify us a little bit here, and it would have been cruel or something like that to pursue some kind of prosecution against President Biden. And like someone said, and Paul get the quote or the reference anyway, how do you say on the one hand that Biden's not competent to sort of go, again, I thought the law is the law, right? No one's above the law, and we can go after President Trump and don't worry about presidential immunity and 34 counts, and he's a convicted, quote unquote, convicted felon now, although I don't think that's exactly, I don't know. There's some different things going on. There's sentencing, they're waiting for sentencing, but whatever. But on the one hand, you can say that the special counsel, Hur, can say that President Biden didn't have the full, it's kind of cool to go after him right now because not the full mental capacity or whatever, or reus mens rea, whatever it is, I'm trying to remember my Latin from law school. But on the other hand, he's totally competent to be a president. Hey, Bidenomics, look at the public doesn't understand how great the results are. They're not selling it well. What is going on right now? It's just, that's craziness and kookiness. It doesn't make sense. He's either the nominee for the Democratic Party, competent to stand for office again, competent to be elected again. You need to elect him to save democracy, or he's, maybe, you shouldn't go after him because he's, he let him enjoy his retirement years, whatever it is, you know what I mean? So I think that's interesting. But it all comes down to this. And we have a lot of stories. It really, you can wrap up the Disney story in this, Budweiser, so many different things. Biden has done a 180, or at least more than 90 degrees on the border. Margaret Brennan kind of has my opinion, mini meltdown on Face the Nation because of the changing polling on the border. And then you look at what happened in Europe. Europe just had a red wave, if you will. Their politics are different over there, but I mean, to try to get some level of analogy here, a conservative wave anyway, conservative wave, sweep most of Europe. It's not one country. And you see the headlines. And so before I get in that, what I'm saying is that reality is starting to hit. I said this. I said 2023 was the year of reality. 2024 was the revenge of reality, when things were really going to, the policies were going to come due. And people were just like, enough of this. Fauci, people are having a different view of Fauci, and it's starting to look a little different for Dr. Fauci at this point. Okay. And there's new, footage out there with I think it was he went around with Miriam Bowser to the, parts of DC, and people were just like shutting him down like bad. And you look at the statements that were made there. Oh yeah, if you get, this is going to stop. And this just, I can't get too into it, but just go check that out. Patrick Bet-David put that up. Valuetainment. Very interesting. And look at those statements and look at what Dr. Fauci says now, and just see if that's following the science. Are we following the science there? The point is this. People have had enough of this. People have had enough of this. You're seeing communities, minority communities, Hispanic communities, African-American, you're seeing all are starting to really move to Donald Trump, are starting to move the conservatives. Amber Rose, Hollywood star, TMZ trying to, are you really going to vote for Trump? Yeah. Does it matter that he's a convicted felon? No. In fact, I like him better now. 50 Cent, Mayweather, so many people, Charlemagne the God, and the Breakfast Club, You want to talk about, well, I mean, let me try to clarify what I'm saying here. Definitely don't want to be misunderstood. You look at these programs, their programs, they're popular, whatever. They make a lot more money than me. The View and the Breakfast Club and stuff like that. And some of these things, they just shill so hard, in my opinion, for the Democratic Party. It's just silliness. Is this state TV, state radio? Like, come on, dude. Now, Charlemagne the God's backed off of it. He's backed off of it. Dwayne The Rock Johnson's backed off it. A lot of these people starting to walk it back because it's not looking good, dude. Because they understand. It's like David Sachs says. with Silicon Valley now. Silicon Valley's back. A $12 million raise in one night in San Francisco, maybe more. Paul's got the details on it for Donald Trump, for VCs and tech community. David Sachs helped put that together because it's quote unquote impossible to support Biden now. The reality's hit, dude. People are like, this is not working. Someone else put this up there. Like, how come we have so many H-1B visas and the big tech companies are cutting jobs? Like a lot of jobs. Slashing 10%, whatever, Tesla, Google, Facebook. But hey, bring us those H-1B visas. Huh. And listen, we're a land of immigrants. I'm all for immigrants. My grandparents came over here. My wife's an immigrant. I mean, we're all for it. But you got to do it right. And then any country, I don't care who you are. There's only so much per year. There's got to be some sort of process and some sort of manageability to it and whatnot. We love immigrants. Absolutely. But again, the law is the law. Well, wait, the law is the law until it comes to the border. Well, it depends on where you're coming in. The northern border, okay, the southern border, but you can't come. We don't, easy. We got to really make sure who's coming from Cuba by boat. But the southern border I mean, it makes no sense. It doesn't seem right. People are saying this is cuckoo. Okay, so the point is that now that's leading up to what I want to say right here. Now we have elections. And we've had, whether it was a pandemic, whether it was the foreign policy stuff, things going on maybe in certain parts of the world, you had this globalist, whatever, no conspiracies here, or anything like that. This is, look, I mean, this is, I think, how some of them define themselves. I don't know. Whatever the New World Order, liberal, I don't know. Whatever. There's so many different. They keep changing the terms. Okay. Western democracy, I don't know, and it was mostly, you had liberal Germany, liberal France, Macron, all this stuff, and now they just got crushed. Prime Minister Sunak in trouble in UK, Macron crushed, Le Pen's party doubled. Don't can't. Now it's kind of weird. Let me share my screen right here. This just happened. This was huge. I'm going to have to pull Breitbart up here because you can't find it. You can't even find this on Fox News. You'd think this is big headlines. I mean, Rupert Murdoch. I mean, don't they own like the Sun, and they own a bunch of stuff over there in UK? You can't find it. Oh, by the way, we're all, the liberal media. We're all for immigration. We love it, and you and anyone who's against anything is really bad, except when it comes to the Washington Post. And apparently, I'm serious. This was like some kind of headline. This is my paraphrase, rough paraphrase, not alleging anything. But something like, there's too many conservative British people over here in media. It's weird. It's all good until it happens to you. This is like not my backyard stuff. So let's go to Fox News right here. And let's share this. I got to bring Paul in here. I'm kind of elaborating for a little bit here, but I mean, there's just so much going on here. We're just setting the table here. So let's share our screen right here. If we're looking on the live stream here. Okay, here we go. Fox News. We got the headlines here. We got Hunter Biden, okay, with the little trial there. Okay, then we got a sub with a red banner here. Okay, Hunter Biden. Okay, that's cool. I mean, but is that the biggest news? That's really the headline? This is the most important thing right now in the world, Fox News. I don't think it is. Sorry. Okay. And then we got Hunter Biden, and then we got the border here from Biden, and then we got the border here from Margaret Brennan. You can see that face, little hashtag sad face, okay. And then we've got some, okay, so we got different. You got to go get Netanyahu. We got Taylor Swift. We got Royals. I'm not seeing it. It's super weird. We just had elections on the EU. We just had all kinds of, I'm not seeing it. Now, it's weird. They cover Davos. They cover all kinds of stuff. We cover all the billionaires that are anti-Trump. I'm not seeing it. Paul Ryan's on the board of Fox News. I'm not seeing it. Rupert Murdoch. Okay, so let's stop that. And now let's go over here to Breitbart. Okay, Breitbart. So let's share the screen here. All right, let's just see what we got over here. And boom. Oh, okay. Headline, quote, EU elections, right wins big. New world order rocked again, foreshadows Trump victory. And it talks about what happened there. And it was a crushing landslide. All kinds of stuff, dude. I don't know what this article specifically says, whatnot, but I can tell you that Macron has scheduled snap elections. I can tell you that it's Germany, it's Netherlands, UK, it's Belgium, it's all. I've heard Italy. I mean, it's all kinds of stuff. Let alone what we already see out of Poland and Hungary and all kinds of stuff like that. This is a huge deal, dude. This is and then Trump is taking credit for it. Quote, it's essentially a MAGA Trump movement. Trump said, okay. Paul, let's bring you in here right now. I mean, how big do you think these elections and what kind of analogy is it to the MAGA movement? And this is obviously, let me just throw this real quick. This is on the heels of Argentinian President Javier Milei, and it's also on the heel of Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. And it's also on the heels of the new president of Ecuador. It's a different day in the world now. What do you have to say about that, Paul?
Yeah, and also the president of El Salvador as well.
That's right. That's right. I just said that.
Yeah,
Go ahead. No, you're good.
You're saying that's right. It's monumental, and as you mentioned, most of the mainstream outlets are talking about it as "quote unquote" far right. Well, Elon Musk said to that basically, the far right today just means moderate or centrist. 20 years ago.
Well, and can
That's
I say
essentially
that,
what we're talking about?
And can I say, sorry, real quick? Let me. We were talking about first of all, I will say this: the parties and the spectrum and different things in Europe are and in other places are different than here. Okay, I will say this: they do have some real far left stuff. They do have some far right stuff. I mean, there's different things in there. So I give you that, number one. So I'm not saying I'm an expert in all these different nations and all the different parties and all the different breakups. I'm not. All right. I'm really smart. I'm a political expert. I've studied a lot of things. I'm definitely way up to more speed than most journalists. Okay. But we'll stipulate that. However, when it's Europe wide and Latin America too, I don't think you can say this is as Elon Musk, as you're saying, Paul, I think, I don't want to put words in your mouth. It's hard to categorize something as quote unquote far right when it is basically half the world now. Okay, go ahead, Paul. Sorry, I just want to clarify that.
Yeah, look, I mean, this is what Elon's taking is on it, and basically saying that. I mean, again, 15 years ago in this country, I mean, I think like Joe Biden was more for stricter immigration controls. Now he's not. So things have shifted. And of course, the way the media portrays things or talks about things has changed as well with that. Look, this was, I believe, these are the European Parliament, the EU, the European Union Parliament. So yes, this is all throughout Europe. And you're seeing the same trends in all the countries, as you mentioned. So this is a seismic event. There's no doubt about it. And I think the driving factor, if there's one unifying factor in these various countries, that my understanding of this is immigration. And so in that regard, it does kind of mirror the MAGA movement or the conservative position here in the United States, because that seems to be something that's had a lot of impact over there.
Interesting. And we have something here. Let me pull this up. Let me ask you this. I mean, it's just purely speculative. Why is Fox News not covering this? That seems very strange to me.
Well, to be fair to Fox, they cycle through things pretty quickly.
That's true.
I think, well, the truth is there are still countries counting right now. I mean, this is, like I said, it's like 24 countries or something, maybe more than that. There's still countries who are still counting, but I think the results were kind of like, they've realized where this was going to go. To be fair to them, the Hunter Biden thing, to a lot of people, that is important. The jury just went into deliberations in that trial like 30 minutes ago. So I get that. And you mentioned Murdoch. I believe he owns Sky News,
yes,
which is, of course, a very big thing in Australia and in the UK. So I think they're covering it. I don't know. I mean, maybe he's not covering as much. I don't go to Fox News that much, so I don't know what they're doing. But it's certainly a big deal. And of course, as you mentioned, with Milei, with Bukele, with when Bolsonaro was elected, this has reverberations throughout the world, throughout the hemisphere, and so forth. Yeah, people are looking at this in the same way that kind of Brexit, I believe, preceded Trump. This can be waves kind of rippling through. And so people are saying, well, does this mean good things for Trump's chances in 2024? And it might.
Here we go from Spiked, and I don't really know this publication much or anything like that, but here's the headline for this cited from Real Clear Politics. Headline: the EU has been shaken to its core. Subheadlines: Europeans have had enough of the Brussels oligarchy. And I think that's kind of the thing, Paul, and that's why what Trump is saying, that this is a MAGA movement. People want more nationalists, global, and all that. They try to make nationalists into bad things. Let me put it a different way. People just want more local control and local representation. Okay.
Yeah.
That's what it is. People don't want their policy being driven by whatever academics or oligarchs or whomever comes up with something at the next conference, whether it's WEF or anything else, right? Quote: I cannot act as if nothing happened, a weary, dejected Emmanuel Macron said in an unplanned address to his nation last night. This is crazy, dude. The national rally won big. This is huge, dude. This seems to be a rejection of Macron. Now, as you said, there's been a lot of immigration in Europe. There's also been, there's been a lot of stuff with the farmers and climate. There's been a lot of different things going on there, and people are not cool with it. Paul, your quick reaction. We got about 2 minutes to the break.
Yeah, look, this is a combination, in my feeling, of populism and nationalism, and of course there are echoes of MAGA in that. As you mentioned, it isn't just one issue; it's a number of issues. And what is populism? Populism is kind of doing things for the average person, as opposed to supposedly the oligarchy in that other person's comparison. I think there is kind of in my opinion, there is kind of a global reaction or response to kind of the managerial class or the technocrats. You brought up earlier Dr. Fauci.
Yeah.
And look, I mean,
he kind of epitomizes that in a lot of ways, right?
He does. I think that he does. And you mentioned also talking about Biden supposedly not charged for the classified documents for supposed cognitive decline, essentially. But he can run for president. But Trump is prosecuted. I think those are the kinds of contradictions that people are tired of. And if you're with the party in power,
got to take a break.
If you're with the right side, you don't get you get off the hook.
We got to continue this good conversation. We're going to continue this on the other end of the break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back at you. This is the John D. Villarreal Radio Show here on Newstalk 1040 AM, live on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, X. Be right back.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. Jurors have begun deliberating to decide whether Hunter Biden is guilty of federal firearms charges over a gun the president's son bought when prosecutors say he was in the throes of a crack cocaine addiction. President Biden's son faces 3 felony charges stemming from the purchase of the revolver in 2018. Prosecutors say Biden lied on a gun purchase form by saying he was not illegally using or addicted to the drugs. Defense lawyers are arguing that prosecutors failed to prove that Biden was using drugs in the 11 days that he possessed the gun. New record set on Wall Street. The Dow was up 69 points today. The Nasdaq set a new record, gaining 59, and the S&P 500 added 13. That's also a record. This is SRN News.
The progressives, big tech, and big government have done everything they can to silence truth and sanity. But there's a secret weapon they can't touch. 1 year ago, a new streaming platform, the Real Life Network, was launched to provide a desperate world with much-needed programming, free from the overreach of government and media. Go to reallifenetwork.com and subscribe for free. And when you do, you'll receive an ebook, Countdown, God's Ultimate Endgame, as their way of saying thank you. When you sign up, you will have unlimited access to 100 programmers who deliver outstanding, truth-filled, hopeful content. Podcasts, interviews, sermons, live events, kids shows, feature-length films, and so much more. All free from the influence of secular agendas. Over 30 million minutes of programming have already been viewed. Subscribe now at reallifenetwork.com and get a free digital download of Countdown, a book from Real Life Network founder Pastor Jack Hibbs. That's reallifenetwork.com for your free ebook and access to amazing content today.
Ah, summertime. And to celebrate, Shell Seafood Restaurants and Newstalk 1040 present
Shell's Summer Seafood Celebration.
Shell's Summer Seafood Celebration. Text SHELLS to 64600 now, and you'll automatically be registered to win dinner for 2 at any one of 3 Shell's locations. Nothing beats the taste of fresh seafood, and no one does it better than Shell's. Text SHELLS to 64600 right now.
From Shell's Seafood Restaurants and Newstalk 1040.
Newstalk 1040, Tampa Bay weather forecast.
Yeah, good afternoon. I'm meteorologist Alan Archer. Newstalk 1040, WHBO's Weather Center forecast. So our Doppler weather radar is indicating a few widely scattered showers offshore Sarasota County. We've had a little bit of activity, especially to the south of the Bay Area already today. Our weather forecast, partly cloudy. Will cloud up at times, 35% widely scattered shower, thunder shower this afternoon's high temperature 92. Before then tonight, an increasing 55% chance of thunder showers, mainly late night at 79. Tomorrow, much better chance of rain and thunder showers coming in from the Gulf. The high tomorrow at 90. Wednesday, clouds, along with a 70% chance of showers and storms, and a high of 86. I'm meteorologist Alan Archer, Newstalk 1040 WHBO.
Jimmy Fallon here, and we've all been there. A weekend trip to the casino gets canceled because
We're about a minute or two for the break. Stand by. Hey, everybody, what's going on? It's me, John D. Villarreal. This is the John D. Villarreal radio show here on Newstalk 1040 AM. It's June 10th, 2024. Hey, this is show number 50. We've been doing it for, I guess, a year now, about a year, or real close. Joined by Paul at Villarreal, and we're also live on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, X, and will be reposted probably later on LinkedIn. Paul, listen, we'll talk about that probably in the next hour. Good conversation. I'm looking at businesses. I'm looking to do some different stuff in business. We're looking to do some stuff, very entrepreneurial stuff, got some different ideas. But we've been talking about what's going on in the world. And we've been talking about the big elections over in Europe and how the conservatives are sweeping Europe and Latin America, the revenge of reality. People have had enough, whether it's economy, independence, autonomy, freedoms, if you will, a pushback on the climate in the green agenda, immigration. There's different issues that are going on. War and peace, right? There's different issues that are going on. The left's trying to characterize this as quote unquote far right. You were in the middle of some analysis. Let's also turn it to, people are saying Trump is taking credit for it. People are saying these are MAGA-like movements. Whether it's the yellow vest, whether it's the truckers in Canada, whether it's the farmers, you've got tractors, you've got different things that are happening. How big of an impact do you think this is having or going to have in this election coming up? And what other ramifications do you think that we're going to see from this election?
Well, I think that every time you get an election or a series of elections, however you want to characterize this Europe-wide elections, that goes one way or the other, people try to read the tea leaves of that. What does that mean? So I think that people who are conservative or MAGA is going to take solace or get pumped up from this. And I think that people on the other side might be a little bit concerned about what this means. Because again, I mean, we live in such a global world now, from the internet and so forth, and coalitions across nations, that there is carryover. There is often carryover. Again, I think Brexit, I think people look back and said, yeah, we could kind of see Trump coming because of Brexit. And so there are people who believe that this could be kind of foretelling what's going to take place here in America in 2024 in November. But we have to see. But I can tell you that conservatives and MAGA people are happy about this. And they feel like it's kind of giving them a boost. So that is happening.
So again, this is from Spiked, and I don't know of this publication so much, but just continuing here, they're talking about how, the right wing, and again, there are different parties. There are different, levels of right and levels of left, much more so. It's not just like, Democrats, Republicans. They have a lot of, more stuff. It would be almost like if you had like Bernie Sanders, a Green Party, maybe, I don't know what you want to call it. That were actually viable here in America, but they're viable out in other places, right? Maybe not that specifically, but you understand the concept. And so a lot of these countries are governed by coalitions and stuff. They have, So anyway, they're talking about how you have the quote hard right alternative for Germany, AfD, despite two of its leading MP candidates being dogged by major scandals, came second behind the center right CDU. But all of those beat all three of the left wing stuff in the Germany's governing coalition. The Social Democrats, which used to be Angela Merkel and stuff like that for a long time, they got quote suffered the worst result of any nationwide election since the 1940s. Okay, and then they also talked about Italy with Giorgia Meloni, but importantly here, this is adding to this, right? How about this? This is. Quote, even Belgium, at the epicenter of the EU empire, has been struck by the populist earthquake. Prime Minister Alexander De Croo announced his resignation as his party was beaten to below 10%. Just think if Biden got like 10% and the Democrats got 10%, right? And that's crazy, okay? And quote, and to around 5% in the European elections, squeezed by the Flemish separatist parties. I mean, this is insane. And also things are also happening in Austria and Netherlands. Okay. Where the conservative, the right-wing parties, won in Austria. And again, some of these might be more, far right, hard right, whatever like that. I don't know all the different. There's many different countries, many different parties out there. So who knows? I do know when I see a lot of the media in U.S. media in lockstep, far right, far right, far right. I mean, you take that with a grain of salt. But there definitely are different levels out there, and some of them might be more far or hard or right or whatever you want to call it. And what that's showing you is not to say that anyone's endorsing them. We're not endorsing. I've done the research. We're not endorsing anyone, anything like that. But as an analyst, I think what this does is say, hey, people are sick of, some of the stuff from the EU. They're sick of the WEF. They're sick of the liberal orthodoxy. They're probably sick of, how a lot of these people and the bureaucrats and the central governments and and some of the global organizations, WHO, UN, writ large, whatever, all this type of stuff, were reacting to the pandemic and beyond. And people don't want to be in these wars. People don't, they want to have freedom. They want to drive their cars. All this stuff. I think there's all the immigration. There's all these different things. It feels like the governments in some ways are really punking out the people and are not representing the people, and people spoken out. That seems to be clear. Okay. And so, like you said, how much do we read into this? How analogous is it to Trump and the MAGA movement and the American, political systems? I'm not sure about that. I do think the Trump is correct in that there is a populist, national, whatever way. But I mean, the terms can get misapplied and changed, and the definitions can evolve. I think the better way to phrase this is people want representative government, and people want the governments to be for them, okay? And again, to repeat myself, represent them. So to the extent that, again, Margaret Brennan got a big wake-up call with the new polling, when you've got a 70% issue like immigration here in America with the open border, that's not tenable. And you can sit here and you can call people ists and obes and you're this, you're that, you're whatever. And people are like, no, dude, like, my town is getting overrun with whatever, you know what I mean? With homeless people, with MS-13, with gang, with they're not policing. That's not tenable for a civil society. You can't have that. You can't have. I literally saw, and it was the craziest thing. And I know things can happen anywhere, whatever like that. But it was just something on it was someone on YouTube and one of these short, like someone. I probably can't even describe it. I'm gonna have to just. It was so crazy. Some guy just went up, hooded, not just mask rather, had like a bandana. Sorry, so let me revise and extend it. Had a little mask, concealing his identity. Had a little like a bandana thing and a hoodie up or something. I don't know. I can't remember exactly, but definitely I remember the bandana. And I'm not going to get into the details, but assaulted this woman who's just walking down the street in New York. Assaulted this woman, knocked her out, robbed her. Nobody's doing anything. No police, no neighbors, no anything like that. And I get it, things happen, but I mean, it's just happening too much. It's just out of control. And people are just like, dude, this isn't working anymore. Like, we're not doing this anymore. And I think that's what it is. And it's like, people are just like, let alone like, hey, I can't operate my business. Hey, the government's, it's like, it's someone else said this too. Like, yeah. Paul, your comments on this. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Am I off track here? What do you think?
No, I agree with you. I think the point is that no matter how much you portray yourself as the ruling coalition, the ruling government, no matter how much you portray yourself as the good people and the moral people and the other guys are bad or thing, if there comes a certain point where the performance is so bad that people become willing to accept the other side, even if they're not perfect. even if they may be a little bit more out there on certain issues, because because the failure of the people that are ruling things or governing things at the moment. That's part of what I believe is happening right now here in America. I always felt that Biden was kind of a compromise between the further left and Trump. Not that that's how I see it, but I think that's how many voters saw it. And now, regardless of, we're going to restore dignity to the White House and the soul of America, things are going so poorly, in my opinion, that even if you have quote unquote convicted felon Trump, people are willing to accept it because they remember things felt better economically and otherwise under Trump. And so no matter what the labels are, how you position yourself, people are rejecting you. And I think that's a lot of what happened in the European elections.
Yeah. And there's more here. And from the article, quote, Brussels cannot hide from the reality forever. These elections clearly show that the EU and its boosters are failing to contain the public's anger. European elites have pulled every trick in the book to try to put the brakes on the popular surge, seemingly to little avail. And it goes on here. And again, I'm not an expert in European politics. I obviously follow things pretty closely here. Yeah, right. And this is what they're saying, quote, nor is the rise of European right all about immigration, as we so often hear. The EU Green Deal, what we talked, what did I tell you? I'm telling you, I'm on top of this stuff, which includes a vast array of costly and authoritative measures aimed at bringing down carbon emissions, has infuriated voters across the continent, unquote. Okay. And talking about the European farmers that are really upset about this and all of this. And there's just a lot of stuff, the climate agenda. They don't want to talk about that. Quote, the French Greens Les Ecologistes only just managed to avoid a total wipeout. Okay. In the eyes of European public, quote unquote, green has become a byword for bureaucratic interference and deindustrializations. And that's it, dude. Yep. I mean, people are so sick of this, dude. Real quick, quote, the mainstream elite. Okay, sorry. That basically voters have used this, quote, voters have used this election to deliver a powerful challenge, okay, both to their complacent rulers at home and to the unelected bureaucracy in Brussels. The mainstream elite consensus on borders, climate change, and ever greater EU integration is coming under unprecedented populist pressure. The EU has rarely felt more fragile. Go ahead, Paul, your comments.
I just want to add to that. It's something you mentioned earlier, but this is the position that most of these winning conservative groups had, was they were anti-war. They were anti-funding the Ukraine war. And that is, I think, a big part of this as well.
It is. And they talk about some of the issues right here. And what it's saying is, without reading a whole big thing again, quote, first, the idea that a European Union doubling down on federalism, greenism, wokeism, and anti-populism has somehow been giving into the right populace is obviously for the birds. That's, in other words, they're trying to gaslight you into what really happened here and the real rejection of it, and then just talk about different things. And here's the deal, right? Okay, quote, European voters have effectively been given a choice between a mainstream that despises them, a left that has abandoned them and also despises them, and a right promising to give the other two a bloody nose. Are we really surprised at the option they took? And this, I think, does more closely mimic, obviously different and not exactly, I'm not saying this, but I think this is a little bit closer to the analogy with Trump. Oh, convicted felon, 34 counts. Hey, all I know is that, the policies right now pushed by the Democrats are so bad that, Hillary Clinton and the rest of them, the deplorables and stuff. And you see what President Obama says, you see what AOC, you see what Nancy Pelosi and these different people say about the voters. And it's just like, no, dude, people want someone that's going to stick up for them. The middle class needs a champion as well, right? In the working class. And the Democrats have become the party of the elite. Now, let me frame this right. We have a couple minutes here. We're going to kick some of this discussion, as you'll see as I'll tee up right here, into the next segment. And that is this, Paul. You look at what's happening with the Disney situation, okay? And you look at what's happening with the failure that is the Acolyte. We'll get into that. Tiana's Bayou or whatever, the redo of Splash Mountain. There's a lot of things, Bud Light, Planet Fitness, Starbucks. There's so many of these companies that are just getting absolutely crushed now. A lot of the academia and stuff, UCLA Medical School. There's a lot of things that are happening out there. Not just obviously, definitely in the wake of the horrific tragedy of last fall, okay, that we know about, but and the subsequent congressional testimony by the presidents of some of those organizations, of some of those institutions, academic institutions. But basically, the results aren't there. There has been a failure of Disney and others to produce. We're seeing it in the video game space. We're seeing it, Mad Max Furiosa. People didn't see it. Acolyte. People, not that many people are tuning in. As someone so rightly said, if the merchandising isn't there, if people aren't buying the products, the fans don't support it. There's accusations on both sides of, they're review pumping, they're review bombing and stuff like that. All I know is there is a huge discrepancy between like what the critics are saying and what 1,000 plus of the regular customer viewers are saying. That's a massive discrepancy. And where are the toys and stuff like that? Plus, you see this weird double speak. We'll get into it more in next segment. But from some of the stars of the show, like, I think I gotta remember her name or stuff like that. But we'll pull that up. I'm not ready for the Star Wars stuff yet. But the star of the show, who by the way, the Jedi are the bad guys now, and I guess they're colonialists potentially. And now the cis goods, and so on the one hand, like, hey, I don't think the majority of this reminds me of the Snow White thing. This is the Snow White thing all again. I'm just waiting for her to say weird, on the press stuff. And so she's sitting there with Leslie Headland, and they're talking to one of these reviewers, and all of a sudden she says, or not there, but on another, but she said some strange stuff there about how that this was quote unquote the gayest Star Wars ever. That was a reviewer. That was and the critic or the interviewer. And they're like, maybe it is. And they banning about, and then and whatever. Like, here's the thing. Nobody cares. And someone said this, I'm going to get it a little bit wrong. No, first of all, let me throw this out since I threw that out. Let me throw this out. You've had, okay. I have to come back to this. Let me finish that other thought first to make more sense of it. But later, that's the star said something to the effect of, I think there's more female fans of Star Wars than there's male fans. And really, they're just quiet and stuff like that. Yeah, show me any evidence of that. That's like saying there's more female fans of the NFL. There's more female fans of the UFC. Maybe. Who cares? But if you're going to make that statement, you better have the data to back it up. And here's the point. When you go but then later says, we need new fans. This is the quote unquote mythical modern audience. We're looking for new fans. And Leslie, and we brought in people that didn't know Star Wars. We had a fresh take. Okay, you can't do this almost design thinking with every single product and brand out there, especially when you're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars. This is a $200+ million project. This isn't something you just, go to Vegas and put it all on 7 with. And the thing is, if it was a one-time thing, that'd be one thing. It's an almost every time thing now. It's the same thing with the Marvels, the same thing with Captain America coming up. There's reports that they were trying to do this with Deadpool and Wolverine. I mean, it's over and over and over and over. You know, Thor: Love and Thunder. What is the last Marvel hit? What's the last Star Wars hit? It's getting so bad. And here's the point. And this is what I was trying to say before. And then they said, oh, you know, and then you let it slip where Leslie Helen, the showrunner, you know, DEI and representation was the most important thing for her. Okay, that's not the most important thing for any. The most important thing is to deliver a quality product that your customers want. That should be the most important thing for any business. Now, if that's your audience, go for it. If you're, I don't know, I mean, Ben and Jerry's, who knows, right? Fill in the blank. Fantastic. And here's the other thing. You can, you know, you look at Elton John, Liberace, George Michael, superstars, global superstars. Nobody cares, okay, about the personal life, private life. Freddie Mercury, super duper star. I mean, incredible talents, beloved by audiences, broad audiences worldwide. Still to this day with Sir Elton John. But they are talented in delivering products at an elite level that their audiences want, that their customers want. Not the case of the criticism of the Acolyte is that it's basically trash. I'm a Star Wars fan. I did 7 shows of the first one as a little kid when to the theater and everything like that. I have no interest in watching the Acolyte other than to see how bad of a train wreck it is, but I know how bad of a train wreck it is. The trailers, which probably has the best stuff in it, they're terrible. And we're going to talk about this whole Miss Rachel thing with the kids. That's another controversy, okay, with Pride Month and stuff like that. And again, we're for peace, love, opportunity, freedom for everybody. But stay away from the kids. I have a 6.5-year-old, almost 7-year-old, Miss Janaire. We love her. She's great. And we may see her later. We'll see. And we're not getting into certain topics for a long time. And there's no way I want the schools or some story time, or, you know, we know what the front part of that is. I don't want to say it right now, you know, or anything that I don't want any of that around my little girl. Sorry. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that this was all pretty, you know, this could, you know, you could have repercussions for this kind of stuff. This is what I'm saying with the stuff over there in Europe and stuff like that. The public has had enough of this academic run amok. Let's just try all kinds of experience. Let's critical theory. Let's just break everything and remake it. Let's force the 95%, 98%, 99% to do whatever the 0.1% wants. I'm just going off right now because there's so much, but it's all connected. And pretty soon these dudes are they are panicking in some of these boardrooms because they're running out of money. And the investors are going to be like, hey, we don't want this anymore. Paul, your quick comments. We got about a minute here and we'll push it to the next break.
Yeah, look, I mean, my thing is this. If you want to tell your story, which Leslie Headland or Kathleen Kennedy want to do, don't co-opt someone else's franchise. Just make your own one.
Bingo. Right. We don't need any more Trojan horse entertainment products. Meanwhile, you've got Top Gun Maverick, you've got The Covenant, you've got Mario Brothers that are Deadpool that are doing amazing. Just doing what? Making regular movies. Okay. We're going to talk about it. Hey, 4 o'clock hour's done. Stay tuned for the 5 o'clock hour. Coming up at 6 weeks, this is Jumping with our show on Newstalk 10:40 a.m. You guys like What's going on, everyone? It's John D. Villarreal here, the John D. Villarreal Radio Show on Newstalk 1040 AM out of Tampa Bay, the greater Tampa Bay area. Doesn't matter if you're in Clearwater, St. Pete, downtown Tampa, Wesley Chapel, Lakeland, Lando Lakes, Tarpon, Sarasota, where I'm at, Longboat Key, anywhere, all over the greater Tampa Bay area. And also we're live on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, X, later to be posted on LinkedIn. So there's so much show to go over here, and I knew it was going to be a lot here. We've a lot of stuff to talk about with New York, with a lot of stuff to talk about the Democrats and stuff and everything. We were still talking about the whole Disney debacle. We may push some of that back a little bit because I know we want to get to some of the big news here with Paul and Trump and everything. And Trump just had a rally, and there's a lot of stuff going on. There's been stuff with Judge Merchan putting something out about like one of the jurors' cousins, tweet, who knows. But I wanted to put this out here really quickly. Jeremy from The Quartering, who's also a big YouTuber, big on Rumble as well, has locals as well, and he just covered this thing that I talked about. And I'm not going to get. There's also controversy more apparently with Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro. It never stops. It hasn't stopped for a while. You know, allegedly people are leaving the Daily Wire. There was people supporting Candace. Maybe someone's going to Candace's event. It's just some weird stuff going on. I can't follow all of it, but I mean, here we go. And this is from Jeremy from The Quartering covering this. And let me see if I've got this. Let me try to. No, yeah, I guess that's about all right. And then so you can see up here on the screen, and Jeremy's talking about it. I'm not going to play it, all right? But basically that there was this posting here, and by Miss Rachel, and this is by Matt Walsh, right? Matt Walsh blog. It looks like this was on X. Quote: Miss Rachel is an extremely popular YouTuber who makes content for babies and toddlers. She just posted a video celebrating Pride Month. This is a message to conservative parents that she doesn't want your business. You should respond accordingly. And I did see that before. I have heard it and stuff. I'm not gonna play it here. I mean, maybe I'll find. I don't know. I'm probably not gonna play it here. But basically, it starts out something. This is my paraphrase. I'm not quoting. You know, Happy Pride Month and you know, so happy you're here. Exactly who are, something like that, and whatever. And then she's wearing an outfit that's got some rainbow stuff on it, or you know, different colors and stuff. But then she, in that message, said, "Hey, you know, if those of you who can't watch me after this and are gonna be upset, I understand it. You know, I'm celebrating love or standing strong in love or whatever it is." Okay. And here's the thing. On the one hand, like, yeah, okay. The headline from Jeremy: kids YouTuber woke backfire. Miss Rachel promotes pride to toddlers and tells parents to deal with it. No, at least I'm not. I think I can speak for Paul. No one's against anybody, right? Peace, love, freedom, opportunity, equality for everybody. All right. And you know, we've got a you know, Mayor Castor, you know, it has come out, and I think she's, from what I can tell, Tampa's doing a great job and stuff like that. We've got a lot of members of the LGBTQ community in St. Pete and around the greater Tampa Bay area. Hopefully a lot of followers of the John D. Villarreal Radio Show, Dave Rubin, Glenn Greenwald. There's a lot of people that are on the conservative side that are part of the LGBTQ community. And so nobody's against anybody. Right. I mean, some people might be, but I mean, we're not. You know, and I don't think most people are. I think very, very, very few people today in 2024 are really like, oh, I don't like this group or I don't like that group. I just don't think that's a major thing in any serious percentages. Okay. I may be wrong. Although we got to be careful because we've had so much focus on these groups, this group versus that group, that, you know, that people, it turns people against each other. The same thing happened over in Rwanda. The same thing happened over in Bosnia and Herzegovina. That used to be one little, you know, a Yugoslavia thing. And then pretty soon everyone's hating each other and they're fighting, and it's a war-torn, destroyed country. So you got to, you have to remain vigilant on these things. But the point is, like, this is content aimed towards 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds. Just learning phonics. Can't even read yet. And we're talking about pride. What? Should I? No. We shouldn't be talking. We shouldn't be talking about prom or picking up girls or where babies come from or any of that other stuff either. Leave those discussions to the parents. The problem is when I drop off my kid for school, I don't want to have to sweat and think Ronnie D, dude, heavy Ron, dude, has gotten. I don't want to have to worry about what someone else is telling my kids about explicit stuff. Drag time story hour. I've seen it. These kids going on there and they're giving dollar bills. What are we doing? Oh, you might not feel this way. That way. Like, no, dude. I don't need, like I said, I don't need them getting into how to get girls' numbers or I don't need any of that stuff. They haven't hit puberty yet. What are we talking about? These are little kids. Stay away from the kids. It's not a hard thing. And here's the other thing. How do you think that would go over with a lot of communities? Okay. I don't want to get into, there's just too many things. There's a lot of communities, for religious-based reasons, and there's here in America too, don't want anything to do with any of that stuff. Okay. So it's just very wild that this has become like a normal thing. So, and they conflate it. It's one thing, like, if you're not for this and you're against it, then you're a phobe or you're an S or this and that. No, dude, these are little kids. You need to be 21 years old to drink. You need to be 18 years old to vote. You need to be 18 years old, 16 years old to drive. There's a reason for these things. If you cannot legally get married or legally have consent, why are we getting into any of this type of stuff? It's just a bizarre thing. And it starts looking like grooming and stuff like that. And I'm telling you, unfortunately, Hollywood's had not a great reputation. You can look at that documentary from Nickelodeon. You can see what a lot of these childhood stars, cautionary tales. Listen to Corey Feldman. Look at Britney Spears. We had that island. It's not. We had that other, and then they didn't want that movie coming out about how you rescue some of these kids. There is real trafficking. There's real messed up stuff going on out there. We have to, again, a society that can't protect its borders, a society that can't protect its citizens, a society that can't protect its children. That just doesn't work. It cannot work. And it cannot enjoy any kind of significant support for any length of time. It doesn't make sense. Okay. And then let me just, as we're doing this, just you may not know Miss Rachel. So let's find out. Here we go. Miss Rachel, as it comes up, Miss Rachel baby learning. This is what we're dealing with here. Baby Shark, here we go. Fun Baby Shark toy videos for kids 2+. Wheels on the Bus nursery rhymes for retarded. Hop little bunnies, hop nursery rhymes. What are we doing? And it's beyond, she was supposed to have Dylan Mulvaney. I think she invited Dylan Mulvaney on the show. Look, this is insanity. Now, if you want to do, here's the thing. You want to do that as whatever her name, Rachel, whatever, as a person, as your own person, as your own celebrity, whatever on your, that's one thing. But to do it with, any kind of programming, to have that on why would you have that? Why would you have that? Like, I don't understand that, on the actual show. How does that work, dude? I don't understand. I don't know. I don't get that. So like, I don't want to go on and on about this, but I mean, it's pretty crazy right there. Lila Rose, Miss Rachel invites Dylan Mulvaney on the kids show. Yeah. And then maybe, I don't know, Lila, I don't know. Maybe she's a mom or whatever. People are having strong reaction. I really like this lady. She's really cool. Mala Ekpanobi from, I think, Prager University. 120,000 views. I mean, mega popular kids YouTuber. Miss Rachel stirred the pot after she posted a video wishing happy Pride to her followers. This Amala, she's great. Love to collaborate with her sometime. She's really, really smart. She's done some good stuff. Anyway, Paul, your quick reaction to this. I don't want to go off on this. We're for everybody. Peace, love, freedom, opportunity for everybody. You know what I'm saying? I've had lots of friends in the LGBTQ community, obviously lived in in the San Francisco Bay Area and stuff like that. We've got a lot of people now on the conservative side, Republican side, that nobody cares as adults, consenting adults, right? If you can't, why are we getting into this? Why do they have to keep going? They won't stay away from the, I mean, why does this have to be front and center for kids? Why should these conversations ever be around kids? And we found out with that whole tragedy, I believe, in the Christian school in Tennessee, that surprise, the manifesto was a little kooky. Your comments, Paul?
Yeah, look, I think what you mentioned in the last segment, we mentioned Elton John, George Michael, Liberace.
Fantastic.
Make
fabulous.
Good entertainment. Yeah, they're incredible. But like, as you said, I didn't even know what George Michael's orientation was for years. So it's like, it doesn't matter. Just make entertainment, make your stuff, and you don't necessarily have to get into all that. And as you mentioned, look, it doesn't matter what the orientation is, in my opinion, as an adult. I don't want my kid exposed to any of that discussion. I mean, because I don't think that they're ready for it. So it doesn't matter if it's a heterosexual discussion or if it's a LGBT discussion. I just don't think that my kid should be exposed to that at 5, 6 years old, or even a little bit older.
And it's wild because
do we have to do that?
No, exactly. And there was a famous, ask the popular thing, and they went around and they did this setup. Hey, should a kid be able to get a tattoo without telling their mom? Oh, no. And then you had a bunch of people, and then later it's like, hey, should you be able to do this other stuff? Switching things up without telling your parents. Oh, well, that's different. Are you insane? There are age limits for a reason. There's height limits and stuff at rides at Disney World. I mean, what are we talking about? Like, this is common sense. A society that does not protect its kids, that does not protect its citizens, that does not protect its borders cannot survive, dude. It's insanity. And things have gotten so crazy where the message is all that matters. The activism is all that matters. Google, Starbucks, they're finding out, and people and finally, people are voting with their pocketbook and saying, I'm not doing it. I'm not going to Disney. I'm not going to watch this show. I'm not going to whatever like that. Like, it's just, and I think that there was some backtracking from Miss Rachel. There was, I don't know. I mean, again, I'm not here. Look, we don't do the outrage thing and, oh my God, have you seen this? And look at this. And we're going to own the libs. And we don't do that kind of show. You know that. But this is so like there's a couple things here and it all comes together. It's gone way, way, way too far. There's certain just basics. Like, I know everybody wants to change everything, whatever like that, but there's basics to there's a reason why families have been around for however long now. Okay. I mean, it's just like, there's just certain basics. Stay away from the kids. It's crazy. But look, I just want to put that out there. The bottom line for me, Paul, when you look at all these things, when you see this, no surprise that Trump's up in the polls big, and you got Amber Rose and other people that saying, I don't care if he's. You've got Trump. The whole conviction thing has not moved the polls whatsoever. You're seeing the conservative wave sweep over Europe, sweep over Latin America. It's no surprise. People have had enough of this. It's all coming home to roost. But you've got some stuff, and we talked about some stories. There's things going on in New York. There's things going on the trail. Trump just had his big rally. There's so many other things happening right here. Talk to me about what's going on out there, because we have a lot of stuff happening right now with election 2024. We've got a lot of stuff happening with the New York verdict. I really don't think that this has had a big impact. What's your take on it? What are you seeing out there?
Yeah, well, two things, John, that I think that I'm seeing right now that are really shaping what's happening at this moment. I can tell you this: in Pennsylvania, since the verdict dropped, in my part of Pennsylvania, the Democrats have begun dumping ads against Trump. Democrats and their allies, like different PACs, different groups. For example, just in the last 7 days, I have seen there's a PAC called American Bridge, and they're a liberal super PAC. They've dropped 2 ads. Both of those ads are about Trump and about supposedly his negative effect on women and women's rights, particularly abortion. And they're slick ads. Like, they use, kind of homegrown PA, MAGA type, John Fetterman type of people, and it's appeal to that group, but still the message is, Trump is bad and Trump's bad for women. That's one group. Another group is called Fulton County Jury. Fulton County, of course, Georgia, where the Fonnie Willis case is going on. They have an ad about January 6th. Another group is simply called January 6th, and their ad is about its testimony from several, or at least one, of the Capitol Hill police officers that was there on January 6th. Of course, January 6th and anti-Trump. And the fourth group that I've seen just in the last week of anti-Trump ads is Bill Kristol's group, Republicans for the Rule of Law. That's the name of the group. Their ad is about how Trump supposedly wants to be a king because he's fighting for immunity in the Supreme Court, and they have J6 footage. So what we're seeing then now is this is analogous, in my opinion, to what happened in 2020 after COVID hit. Before COVID hit, Trump seemed essentially invulnerable. Like, didn't seem any possibility that he was going to be defeated because the economy was too good, people were too happy. And Trump himself has said that Democrats were coming to him saying, look, let's make a deal, basically realizing he's going to win again. So we need to work with him. But after COVID hit, then everything changed. Then kind of the all of the attacks and so forth came out, as we recall. That's what this is happening right now. Since this New York verdict came down, kind of the floodgates have opened up in the Democrat campaign against Trump. I'm seeing it here locally in Pennsylvania. There's also much of it is being shown nationally. Suddenly there's new things about what supposedly he said or did on The Apprentice. And he wants revenge and this and that. So it's kind of like this is a triggering event that they're hoping that people are kind of shaken up by this verdict, and now they are emotionally pliable to these appeals against Trump. And that's that's the major thing that I'm seeing now, and they're really pouring it on. And so I think, as you mentioned, the polls really haven't changed much, but they could change a little bit. And there has been slight movement towards Biden in a couple of these polls. And if it does change, my guess is it's going to change because of this onslaught that's happening rather than the verdict itself. Another thing that's happening is we're seeing even more of the celebrity incorporation. I told you off air, Barbara Streisand just had dinner with Eric Holder, E.J. Carroll, and Adam Vindman. So it's like, yeah, remember these guys? Hey, remember them. Pay attention to them. So we're doing all of that. The second thing that I think, though, is taking place right now is we're really starting to see kind of, in my opinion, storm clouds over the economy. The Treasury yield curve, which is people look at for different signs and kind of where things are at, it's inverted right now. And according to the Kobiesi letter, who is a man, Adam Kobiesi, who appears on Fox Business all the time, he's saying, look, every single time Treasury yield curve has inverted in the last however many years, there's been a recession following. The New York Fed said today there's a 50-50 chance of a recession in the next 12 months.
It's not looking good.
Also, CNN said people are starting to pull back in the stock market because they're afraid of a downturn. So we're starting to see kind of clouds on the horizon, and the supposed soft landing doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got right here a couple things I want to tie up before the break, and we hit into this last segment. The Hill, Doug Schoen and Carly Cooperman. Headline: Trump's felony convictions are having minimal impact on his campaign. And it just kind of goes through it. Doug Schoen, former Democratic pollster, okay, and basically just showing that, look, this is not really impacting the situation right here. Okay. And basically you've got Trump over Biden, 48 to 45%. And this is a June Times Siena poll, June 5th, interviewed 2,000 voters. Okay. And then after the verdict, Biden gained 2 points, 47-46, still in favor of Trump, virtual tie, but probably well within the margin of error. And that's the thing. This isn't moving it. And this is right after. This is not moving anybody. Okay. The other thing I want to throw back here, just go quickly back to the Miss Rachel story, is that I was correct that this is from E! News. I'm not going to play it. Headline: Kids YouTuber Miss Rachel responds to backlash after celebrating Pride Month. And basically she goes up there and hasn't explained. So she had her first video where she went out talking about stuff. And then she, says right there, the happy Pride. And then she comes back later and tries to and explain it. It's like, hey, my faith and there's commandments, and I believe in talking about stuff and helping people, and faith's important to me, and Matthew 22 and all this different stuff, and that's fine, right? And that's good. And look, her last statement I think is where it's are much closer to where it should be, which is, quote, we've met so many wonderful families who watch the show, all with different beliefs, religions, and political views. We treat everyone with empathy and respect. That's where you should be if you want to be a broadcaster. That should be the message to Disney, the message to Star Wars, The Acolyte, the message to Leslie Headland, to Kathleen Kennedy, all these different people. Stop trying to force your beliefs down on everyone. Stop doing the drag time story hour. Stop doing all this other stuff. It should be broad-based, and again, there's certain things that are inappropriate for kids. And if it was the other way around, people would be flipping out. But because it's that now they're trying to normalize this other stuff, it's not going that way. John D. Villarreal Radio Show here on Newstalk 1040, live on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, and X. We'll be right back at you. Last segment coming up. What's up, everyone? John D. Villar here, the John D. Villar Radio Show on Newstalk 1040, all over the greater Tampa Bay area, live on YouTube, Rumble, Facebook, and X. Wow, last segment right here, June 10th. Beautiful day, man. I went over this weekend to Siesta Key. Number one beach in America, number one beach for a reason. I mean, there's different ratings, different years, whatever, but I think it's won a couple times, like Dr. Beach or something like that, number one beach. What's really cool about Siesta is the water is so warm right now. It's nice, but you have like a little sandbar out there, not too far. So you kind of have like this. It depends where you go on the beach, obviously. But if we went to the far parking lot, you have a mat down there, so you can walk in. It's lots of beach area. I mean, you got multiple volleyball courts there. I think you had some tournament going on, whatever. It's a white quartz type of sand. It does not hot to step on, even, it doesn't get that hot, not ledge anything. Everything you do is at your own risk, everything. But really good looking beach. You just not, I can walk on there. I take the sandals anyway until I get closer, but you get a little bit of a trek. So they have the little mat out, so it's easier to do that, to get to the beach. As you get there, where we were, there was a little bit of 25 feet, maybe 50 feet type of like little tide pool almost. And then so the kids can play in there, whatever, it's super safe for a bigger kid, anything like that. Then you have like an area where there's not heavy waves, there's some waves, but you can just wade right into it. Very warm water, very nice. Not super duper ultra clear, but nice. It's fine. I mean, whatever. So a little bit of seaweed here and there, whatever, but pretty clear, very nice. I mean, there's no perfect beach, right? Where you have it depends. And again, some people want big waves, some people want, a wading pool. So it's different people want different things. So again, it's not one beach for everybody, but what's great about this is you have great sand. It's definitely more heat resistant. It's beautiful. It's warm. It's nice. You can get in. The water is very accessible. And then after that, there's a little sandbar, maybe, I want to say 50, 100 yards out. So then you can wade up, for a while out there. You can go out there and it's cool because it's kind of like, hopefully, I mean, I don't know, right? I mean, obviously there's fish in the sea and stuff like that, but hopefully it's kind of buffering some of that because, there's that natural sandbar there that you can, that's kind of like closer to the surface, you can kind of stand up on. And it's just phenomenal. So many people were out there. You saw the license plates from all over the place, Virginia, and people from all over the world. It's really, really great. It's just fantastic. We really love it a lot, no doubt about it. We've seen people coming in here on Rumble. Appreciate that. And Rumble Studio, they've been great to us, no doubt about it. Paul, I want to bring you back in here. We're talking about a lot of different things. We're talking about last hour. We got into the Miss Rachel, situation. We got into the elections. We're getting into the Trump. It's probably appropriate at this point. We want to talk more about the economy, and we're going to talk more about the economy and do different things. And again, just to reiterate, we're all for everybody. Peace, love, freedom, opportunity for everybody. I've been to so when I was out in Silicon Valley in San Francisco, I had friends that wanted to try to take me. I mean, I've literally been in the San Francisco, not participating in, but I've walked through the gay pride. The monster parade and everything like that. And I've seen all kinds of different stuff and whatnot. And I can remember, and this is, this kind of maybe, and I can be careful how I say this. I don't want to say that. I'll just say what happened, and then we'll go from there. But I remember walking down there. We were trying to get to some bar. I don't think we got there. So I don't know what happened, but we didn't know that there was a big parade out there. And this is a long time ago, before when I was single stuff. And I don't know if Paul was with me. I don't think he was. But anyway, I was with some friends, and I think a girl I was dating or something like that. Or I don't know. But anyway, and we're walking now. We're in the middle of this game. And that's when I was in shape and I was like stacked and jacked. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm still doing pretty good right now. But I was like, your boy JDV was bringing it. a 4-time national champion, trained pro athletes, all that type of stuff. You can see some of my stuff up there. If you want to see something that's like close to what my best aesthetically, go check out me posing in Toronto. There's a couple of series about that. I think I was like 31, 32 at the time, about 6% body fat, rocking 195 pounds. It was didn't feel great, but I looked great. As good as I can look. Anyway, so I'm walking down and I was getting cat calls. And at some point, it's a crazy story. I can't believe I'm saying this. At some point, like I was getting pulled on, tugging, people were grabbing my arms, feeling my muscles, grabbing my chest. Stuff like someone like grabbed down there, like full blast, like grabbed the package. And it's not it's a bigger package. I'm not getting into that, but I mean, but it doesn't matter. I don't care if it's teeny. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I mean, like to the extent that this was like would have made the Access Hollywood, a hot mic tape with Trump, maybe look pedestrian by comparison. I don't know. I have no idea. And I'm not making small of any of that. But I'm telling you, this was a full blown, no mistake possible about what went down. This wasn't an accident, a brush up. This was a full blown, super grab. And I'm like, listen, I mean, it was almost, listen, I'm cool and stuff like that. But, those kind of situations can create situations. And I just, I walked off. It was, but I was like, I'm like, whoa. I'm like, hey, whoa, wait a minute. I mean, and that's like, you just can't, we all have to, this goes to the whole thing. Everybody's got to play by the same rules. I mean, it's like, if you want respect, you got to give respect. I mean, Miss Rachel made that statement over there, like, hey, there's people that were, all of a sudden, that's the thing. Like, we drop off your kids to school. I don't want to take too much time on this because we've already talked about a lot. But I just have to wrap this up. You drop off your kids to school, you got to trust those people to take care of your kids. I'm sitting my kid down and watch a little toddler, a preschool thing, a phonics, Wheels on the Bus. I got to trust that channel that you to with my kids. They're basically like the de facto babysitter for a second. For some people, some moms are working, some dads are working. They're out there the whole time. You can't have that. Now, if I would have done that, which I never ever would, but forget about me. If a man would have grabbed a woman that way on the streets of San Francisco, they'd be in jail. They'd be in jail. It's the same kind of thing where it's like, you have a situation where male teacher and female student, underage, scandal, dudes going to and as they should, to jail for a long time, if not a 20 plus years, whatever. When it's a female teacher and a male student, the turn sometimes it's not the same, maybe not the same level of punishment, or it's looked at a different way, or some people, you know what I mean, like everything's got to be on the same a zone here. So, there's some religions where you can have, or at least it used to be, or some still, I mean, it just depends on, I'm not alleging anything, whatever. You can have multiple wives. The left in America would flip out on that. Hey, wait a minute. I thought we're all for like tolerance and different things like that. This is what I'm talking about. It's really not, they're really not logically consistent. And I'm not I'm for everybody. I'm almost a libertarian. I don't care what you do as long as you're not hurting anybody else. But we've gotten to a point now where things are so whacked out that it's just and let's put it another way. What if how about this? How about like if all the kids were taught conservative Christianity in school? How would that go? Would that be okay? The little 5-year-old kids, the 2-year-old kids, 3-year-old kids. How about people would flip out. But it's okay to have drag time story hour. It's okay for all this stuff. Like it doesn't make any sense. Paul, I don't know if I'm going too far afield here, but I just want to kind of close the circle because I'm so tired of we're for everybody. We love everybody. And I'm just so tired. Oh, that's the other thing too. In Toronto, big I mean, I've lived a lot of places with big LGBTQ communities, big time LGBTQ communities in Toronto, big time in the Keys, big time in Florida, Miami. I mean, all that kind of stuff. Like everyone's for everyone. I'm cool with everybody. I remember I used to sell down in, I can't say too much, but sell down in near Fort Lauderdale, Lighthouse Point. And there's I can't remember the community. Mansion. Oh man, big time community there. They'd come in, they love me, dude. They were buying from me all the time. I'm cool with everybody, but you got to stay away from the kids. It's just simple. It doesn't matter what the orientation is. It's not appropriate for the kids. Paul, final comments. I want to move on to some economy. I want to move on to some other stuff.
Yeah, look, I feel the same way. I've had many gay friends. I've had situations similar to what you were describing for yourself. It doesn't bother me. I don't even care. I mean, it's like you said, it has nothing to do with me or how I feel about it. As you said, I'm very much libertarian when it comes to those issues. I really don't care what anybody does. But as you said, please keep it away from the kids. And I would say the same thing for people who are straight that are doing stuff. Like, I don't want strippers around my kids.
Right.
I don't want people discussing sexual matters with kids.
Right.
Whoever they are and whatever their persuasion is.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right. That's the thing. Like, I don't need crazy movies. I don't need, stuff like that. We don't need any. We don't need crazy proms. I mean, like, dude, there's things have gotten a little bit. We don't need any of that type of stuff. And the point of it is, you've got to respect people. Let the parents handle the parents have the kids till they're 18. Okay. It's the kids. They're under the parents' custody. Let the parents, whatever their faith, religion, disposition, whatever, doesn't matter. You got to respect that. And the problem of it is, whether it was Hillary Clinton or something like that, we've gotten into this concept of, oh, they're not your kids, they're our kids. It's a village. No, no, that's not how it goes, dude. That's not how. And most people are not down for that, Paul.
They're not. And I think that's, look, again, this is about people being mentally prepared for these discussions, being physically mature as in terms of being in puberty and stuff. I mean, you can't. Why would you want to bring things up to people who are just they're not even in that part of their life yet? I mean, I just don't. Like I said, I would say this to anybody of any background, no matter what your orientation is. I would say the same thing to, again, straight people. Please don't talk about all this stuff with my kids.
Right. Yeah. Right. Absolutely. Well, and the same thing when look, how about this? It's the same thing with some of these crazy pageants, the tiaras and stuff like that. And people that was the Nickelodeon thing, the quiet on the set. We don't need the tiara. I mean, some of the cheerleader stuff, I'm like, some of the cheerleader stuff in high school, middle school has gotten a little too much for me. And again, here's the thing, not trying to be a prude or anything like that or whatnot. Or anything. First of all, everyone has a right to do whatever, but you have to respect people's kids and their values and their right to raise their kids and do different things. I want my kid to learn stuff. When she goes, we just had this conversation today because she likes to play video games. I used to love play video games and everything, and I don't want to be a hypocrite and stuff like that. And I try to be a cool dad within reason. But there was a new study that came out about how all the screen time, surprise, along with like a lack of playing and stuff. And I can't remember the study. It was like two different factors. And it's like basically the situation is this, that kids aren't playing anymore today like they used to. And that's a really, really important thing. You look at the animal kingdom, like the Lions Club play with the dad and they're doing all this kind of stuff. And you need that, right? And you combine that with massive amounts of screen time and it's really messing up these kids. Right. And they become very lonely and hard to deal with and depressed and everything like that. And that's not a good thing. So, we had the conversation with my daughter and stuff like that. Wilton Manors. That's in there. Okay. And then again, not generalizing anything like that, but they were just, I don't know. But, and so that was just where some of the, well, anyway, they have different events there. And I think the Fort Lauderdale mayor is or was, has come out and stuff like that. And Nobody cares. Like nobody cares, dude. But to stay away from the kids. But the point is there's a lot of things happening to these kids that are detrimental. And I'm like, so I told Janelle, look, if you're going to be on the phone all the time, you need to do something educational. You need to learn some stuff. Yeah, I have no problem with you playing video games, but we're going to watch which video games you're going to play. And we're going to watch what you're doing. I'm not going to just have you stare at these things because you had this thing like one of the games. I don't want to call it the game, but it was like, oh, the sad room and all this depressing music. It's okay to be sad. No, we're not doing that. You have all kinds of, it's like you got to really watch what these kids do out there. You can't leave the phones and the TVs and just babysit them and stuff. And I'm like, listen, you're just zoning out and wasting your time. Like if you're going to do stuff, you need to go exercise. You need to be, you need to be physically fit. We'd go out there and run. We'd be planning. We'd do the corn stuff. We did the tractor fields. Yeah, we did stupid stuff. We wasted a lot of time, but that's part of the playing. We did the BMX, the mud pies, everything like that. Like, but we'd have the Encyclopedia Britannicas. Like you need to invest your time and try to make something better of yourself. And it's all the commonsensical stuff, right? The right stuff is always harder to do. But it pays off, whether it's following the right diet, exercising, studying, stuff like that, whatever, the easy way out, the microwave stuff, the commercial, mentality, that's all the usually a lot of the fun stuff is not necessarily that great for you. And it's great to enjoy stuff, but you have to do things when it's age appropriate. No different than what would it be good to come into school with a bunch of kegs of alcohol for it's underage kids? You can't do it. Anyway, that's the last I want to say about that. Any last comment on that, Paul?
Yeah, look, I agree with basically all of that. Again, it's just just let kids be kids.
Yeah.
And they'll develop and talk about those subjects when they're older. I mean, like everybody else does of all persuasions. That's it.
Yeah, exactly, dude. I mean, come on, dude. I mean, I did idiotic stuff as a kid, just like everybody else did. I mean, I was a good kid. Don't get me wrong. But I mean, we're kids are kids, dude. Yeah, I jump on beds and like, come on, dude. I mean, my one of her favorites, probably she's breaking my bed over there. She's great. It doesn't matter. But I mean, it's like, she thinks that's a trampoline. It's like, before noon, she's already thought she was a ninja, a pirate, a unicorn, and who knows what else. So anyway, stop. Let's talk about this economy. How bad? How good? I mean, like, what you think it's, we're hearing 50-50, or we're seeing a lot of people running out of money. There's an affordability crisis. There's serious things staring down this economy right now. And how bad do you think it is? I also think that there's definitely a thing now after it got, with the Disney thing and the Target thing and the Bud Light thing, I think it's gotten to a point where we're much like the meme stocks and the Robin Hood and stuff like that. I think conservatives and mainstream has basically figured out, like, look, if we don't like something, we're going to vote for our dollars. And once these companies start feeling the pain, then they'll switch it up. Do you think that's impacting this too, Paul?
Yeah, I do. I think that conservatives have kind of wised up to that strategy, Bud Light, Target, and so forth. And look, just again, coming back to like the Star Wars stuff, nobody would care if in the however 10 or however many years Kathleen Kennedy has run things, you do a show or a couple of shows that are kind of this, the people you think are the good guys are the bad guys, and everything's fighting the oppressors and all that type of stuff. Nobody would care if you did one or two of those. Every single thing you do is that.
Well, I'll give you an example.
And that's what people feel bad about.
Sorry, Paul. I'll give you an example. Right. And someone else said, let me see if I can get this right. I'm going to paraphrase. This is actually a really good line and stuff like that. But let me say this. Remember the famous kiss between Captain Kirk, William Shatner? He's really funny guy. So it's a 90 plus. I mean, so someone's still on his A game. And he was on Bill Maher recently. And Lieutenant Uhura, right? One of the first interracial kiss, I think, maybe, I don't know, or one of them, I don't know, on primetime. Star Trek used to be huge and big, and it was a big thing. It was one episode, but it was cool. But then you see Captain Kirk was with green aliens. He was doing all kinds of different things, and people loved the show. It was a great show. Okay. Bradbury, and all that. So that was a great show. And like you said, it was one episode and stuff like that. But this is every movie, every episode, everything, the most diverse ever representation. It's just like the White House press spokesperson that we talked about, that KJP they were supposedly trying to get rid of before. And I'm historic, and every day it's historic. Okay, that doesn't mean you're a good press secretary. Like you have a job to do, dude. And it's not just being historic. I mean, it's not at a certain point we're over the first whatever. And the thing is, like Sonny Hostein, like the Skip Gates thing, everyone thinks that you're this or not this. No, okay, guess what? Angela Davis, your relatives came over in the Mayflower. Oh, I can't believe that. Yeah, believe it. Okay, these mental constructs are so wacky. And it's funny because there was a guy on Piers Morgan and stuff like that. And I have my criticisms of, I'm not a huge Piers Morgan fan, whatever, but on certain things he can do a good job. And sometimes he uses his show over there in the UK to have some interesting discussions. Okay. And he had this person over there talking about, women's sports and should, trans people being in women's sports and different things like that. And they had Riley Gaines on. They had this conversation. They had this one person who was like, railing against stuff. And I don't know where he's from, but maybe I don't know if he's British, but it was I think he was a member of the LGBTQ community. He was also Black or African American, or however you want to, whatever the appropriate wording is for that. I'm not sure. I think he may be British. And so anyway, he was going on like, oh yeah. And Piers like, wait a minute. Well, let me ask you this. What if I identified as a black man? Oh, well, you can't do that. And he was flipping out. He started flipping out. In my opinion, it's my paraphrase. I'm not saying he was flipping out. I'm not accusing anybody of anything. But let me revise and extend that. He didn't seem too happy with that with that analysis. And Piers is like, well, why not? What's the difference? And there was, and I actually saw this. I think it's the Black Conservative channel, and he was analyzing this. There's a couple of really good channels, and he was basically saying, like, as I said, like, hey, first of all, there's only one race, human race, but a lot of people are mixed. So the whole idea, the concept of race is way more mutable, way more, different delineations than the gender thing. But this is where we've gotten now, where common sense is just, gone. And it's almost seen as anti-equality. And it's just not. It's craziness. Nobody's against anybody. But I don't want to see, women's. I mean, listen, I'm someone that suffered because of Title IX. I remember that. Like they had the Berkeley's wrestling system was gotten away from because they needed money for Title IX and stuff like that. Okay. And it's like, but we need women's sports. I was an incredible wrestler. There's only certain programs that still had wrestling. Of course, you got the Iowas, the Oklahomas. I think Stanford had it. But I mean, Berkeley didn't have it. And I was wrestling with USA Wrestling and stuff like that. Now, women's sports, women's records are being broken all the time. And how fair is that to women? How fair is that to Riley Gaines? We talked about that. That's a whole nother thing. But it's out. Things have gotten to a weird place right now. No different than like if you have different divisions, a master's divisions or seniors division or kids division. You can't have full grown adult men going in there, playing Pop Warner football. It's crazy. And some of these things are very dangerous in contact sports. MMA, boxing. They showed some world champion female boxer. I can't remember. She was boxing with some guy. And she got rocked. So it's just. I mean, it's. I don't know, Paul. It's just we opened up so many things here. But what I'm saying is, with these elections and stuff, and with the economy, and with people voting for the dollars, I think the reality is hitting. I think there's a pushback on this, and I think we're going to swing back to some more the center or something like that. Would you agree with that? We got about a minute left.
Yeah, I think that's the case. I mean, look, again, I know all the stuff and all the character attacks against Trump, but the economy is really weighing on people, as are other things. But I think particularly the economy.
Well, and to close the show, This is why convicted felon, all this stuff and stuff, celebrity, nobody cares because people are seeing Trump as the way to any kind of sanity, a way back to some kind of normalcy, a way back to some kind of representation, something like that. He's still freedom opportunity for everyone, but people also want to live their lives, in peace and some level of prosperity and safety as well. Got the Villarreal Radio Show here. Hope you enjoyed it. News Talk 1040. Appreciate everyone over there at News Talk 1040. And we were, of course, live on YouTube, Facebook, Rumble, X. See you next week. Stay blessed. Stay safe.